Okay, folks, it is story time. Not long story time, not even technical, maybe a little bit technical story time, but just story time nonetheless. Now, if you've been watching this channel a long time, you know that I do most things with a cargo bike. Living in Amsterdam, that was the way you did it, with a cargo bike, everything, including picking up the Christmas tree. Even made a video about that a couple years ago up in the corner there. But this past fall, we moved from Amsterdam to Mallorca, and that's a place there's not many cargo bikes to be seen. In fact, I don't know of a single place that you can even buy a cargo bike on the island. By the way, Mallorca is a little island, a Spanish island, in the middle of the Mediterranean. Now, point being that there are no cargo bikes there. So I solved that by loading up my cargo bike into the rental truck before I drove that rental truck all the way down to Mallorca, including putting on a ferry with a bunch of pigs involved. And point is, there is now a cargo bike on Mallorca, and it is mine. And I was determined to pick up my Christmas tree via cargo bike this year. Except one itty bitty little problem. My cargo bike really struggles on hills. There's of course no hills in Amsterdam, no meaningful hills anyways, that thing aside. Whereas my house in Mallorca is on top of a hill with 17% grade. Not once, not twice, but like 2.5 times. So it's kind of a struggle bus. Nonetheless, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a taste of what that looked like from our cargo bike Christmas tree pickup, Christmas tree by bike last week. So first off, we have to go ahead and find ourselves a Christmas tree, a fresh Christmas tree anyways. But there was a market about like a 20-minute pedal away, so that wasn't too bad. As is always the case, we've got the 3 girls. By the way, there are 3 girls in the bike, my 3 daughters, which makes this whole thing a lot heavier at this point now that they're a little bit older. From there, there's usually like hot chocolate involved and picking out Christmas trees involved. Christmas trees, by the way, pricing is about the same as it is in Amsterdam, roughly 60 to 80 euros for a tree that's taller than me. I have exactly one rule when it comes to Christmas trees. I guess now I have 2 rules, but my first rule is the Christmas tree has to be taller than me. It's as simple as that. I can't be looking down on a Christmas tree. The second rule is I'm not doing a palm tree Christmas tree. I can't have coconuts falling on top of Santa's heads and kids disappointed finding a dead Santa at the bottom of the tree. It cannot happen. So have to have a fresh tree that is taller than me. Gotcha? Good. Now we pick out a tree, except for one little problem. It turns out my wood is basically too girthy for the wrapper. It's as simple as that. It didn't fit in there, so they basically just like string it around the outside and called it done. From there, we load it into the bike. Now, the neat part about loading it into a cargo bike is you don't need any straps at all. And the reason for this is that the trunk of the tree simply sits underneath the bench, and so basically its own weight keeps it in place. We've done this for years. It works fabulously, and so we do the same thing here. Also, my wife grabbed a little pair of Christmas tree lights to put on there just to add some flair as we went along. So everything loaded up here, we're good to go, except one problem. We look across the street and there's a windmill. And if you know anything about Dutch policy, maybe not law, but just policy if you will, you are required on every bike ride that you see a windmill to take a picture with the windmill. So we went across the street and took a picture or 50 with the windmill. Of course, the reason why the Dutch policy is applicable here is obviously that the cargo bike is from the Netherlands, so like it's born there, it has to adhere to those policies. And in fact, one of my daughters is also born in the Netherlands. With that said though, we were off. We were finally cruising along. Spanish bike paths in this area are actually pretty good. They're like about 4 meters or so wide, and really the only thing you have to worry about is the pedestrians that entirely ignore your bike bell no matter how many times and how hard and how vigorously you ding it. they never move ever. But nonetheless, we're cooking along. There's caroling to be had. Now this point our journey's been mostly on the flat, so not too big a deal. Except here comes reality check number 1, which is one of the 3 major climbs into our neighborhood, if you will. Now, the problem is there's only one road into our neighborhood, one road in, one road out, so we don't have any choice here unless I were to like backdoor it through the national park, but that's definitely not gonna work with the tree and the kids and the cargo bike, just not gonna happen. But the good news is our kids are well practiced at abandoning ship mid-flight. So as you see right here, we basically slowly hit about the 17% point and I lose all momentum and the kids are popping out. And take it out. Go, deploy. Deploy. Run, go. And what's notable here is this is not actually a problem with my legs or even the cargo bike's motor. It's an e-bike, of course, but instead it's actually with the rear hub of the bike basically giving out. And when it gives out, the chain effectively slips. So it's just like chain slip, as you would imagine. And there's nothing more I can overcome. So first hill, the kids all evacuate the bike, and I'm stuck running the bike up the hill. This happens, it's been happening for months now. I've just kind of gotten used to it, whether we go to the beach, or the store, or school, whatever the case is. This is just what happens. Now for the second climb, it's only like about 15%, so it's not as bad. And this time I decided it was more efficient to keep them in the bike. Their weight isn't that much in the grand scheme of things, and I could just simply push over the top of that. They find this entertaining, of course, and have all sorts of chanting every single time. Okay, almost there.
10 more seconds, 10, 9.
But then we get to the final climb of the day, basically towards the finish line. We're less than like 2 minutes from the finish here, but this 17% one is absolutely brutal. But the kids are, again, really good at jumping out and racing up the hill and staying on the side of the road, so when a car does come by, they are safe off the side there.
Go ahead. Good job, and run up the hill. Who's gonna be who? I can't see you, so hopefully you don't get away.
Come on!
Power back over the side, please.
Be on the gravel. How you feeling?
17% grade, heart rate 170s. Whew.
From there, the kids load back on the bike, we continue on another minute or so, and we're basically done. Grabbing, of course, one final picture to cap off the night. Now, from a technical side, the solution here is actually somewhat easy in theory, but in practice, kind of messy. Essentially, as I mentioned, that rear hub piece is basically the piece that's in the rear wheel there. That's a piece I need to replace with something that's more powerful, that's designed to handle these sort of loads. The motor itself on the Urban Arrow doesn't have any problems with it. And there are plenty of people out there who have done the swapping out of that rear hub, but in doing so you have to basically take all the spokes off and re-spoke everything again, and it's quite a situation. You also have to do some other work on the sides there, and it's something that I do, obviously, all my own mechanical work for my own bikes all the time, but doing it on a cargo bike and a component that I'm not at all familiar with does have me a bit I have procrastinated very, very well in this for a couple months now. Within that, there's basically two different hub options. There's one from the existing manufacturer, Envilio or Envelo or whatever the heck they are, and then another one called Roll-Off. The solution would run roughly €1,000, give or take a couple $100, depending on how exactly I accomplish it. So my goal is to get that done at some point here. That way my cargo bike is fully operational for all these hills, because right now, every time we come back home, that entire fiasco that you saw there has to happen, which, you know, probably is entertaining for you, but on a daily basis, not so much for us. Instead, for things that don't involve the kids, we just use these two e-bikes. You see my wife has one right there. I have one as well. They're Canyon e-bikes. They've given us some loaners for the year to go ahead and try out, and those just scream up the hill. Those are great, but unfortunately they don't really fit the kids, so it's not, gotta find a solution somewhere in the middle. Anyways, hopefully you found story time interesting or entertaining or something like that. That's what I'm here for. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If not, enjoy the holidays, and thanks for your support. And we got plenty of sports tech stuff coming up, so have a good one.